some things that some of these plans do to our students and for our students. For me, I like the concept, and I was very encouraged to hear that you were having a STEM emphasis or a STEAM emphasis with the school, because I think there are other agencies within the community that wish that and are going to help support that, as some of the meetings we've had earlier today. But I also want us to look at something that I have historically talked about that very few people are still talking about. All of you know that I went to school with integrated schools were segregated. So 8th through 12th grade, 1st through 12th grade was segregated schools. I chose a historically black school to attend. So my first interaction with a major race was in the army. If our students continue on some of the paths that the current where they are, where we go to a STEM academy, which is 88% African American. They then go to Huntington, which is 89%, and then go to Heritage, which is 87%. There's a potential for that to still occur in that neighborhood. And I just put that out there for you to think about.
You're exactly right.
Whether that's good for our students. I also look at the cost of, in 2014, we budgeted $24 million for STEM Academy. Now, I don't know how much you all put into that, but that's all we appropriated for that school, which has a capacity of about 800. 611 of them now is my understanding. I'm just looking at the difference between 2 years ago and 50 million versus 24 million. I'm just looking at the numbers as you said. Right. Why that costs so much. The other thing too is that I've heard strong desires for our community to look at workforce development and leaning back toward Huntington and that campus. I would request our council for an appropriation to look at that whole site. Originally, 30th Street was chosen not to be closed because the police department fought that issue, thought they could not police the area because the campus went from 34th Street to 28th Street. Our current police says there's no problem. We have the best response times in the city in that part of the city. If you close that street and you put that, you rearrange that, we could put more ball fields or whatever. In other words, if we could get a plan for that whole area, that might be where we want Huntington to be in that particular site. It might fit better somewhere else on that campus site to do more with it. That's all I'm saying, until we have a plan. We could inculcate that plan into a larger plan. So I would like for us to really fund the plan, since my initial thought the 2.8 was going to do the whole thing. That didn't occur. I still would like to see us do that so that we can look at Dory Hill, so we can look at Seawaldo Scott, so we can look at that whole site. And if we're truly going to have the community at heart with that school, that we at least have a plan. I'm not saying fund the whole thing, but we all then have a plan for that whole site as to what it could do for workforce development, recreation, using the ball fields, using Huntington, Seawaldo Scott, whatever. Just at least have a plan. So that I'm just putting that out there as well. I really appreciate what you have done here, what you've talked about. I think council is willing to have a better communication and understanding of the budget and how it works, so that when you go 4 or 5 years and you don't talk to each other, Huntington occurs. And I hope we've all learned that lesson. There have been several requests for us to have what used to be a partnership, where each school board member was assigned a school board member, and they would meet monthly. It was when I was on the school board we did that.
Yes, I was on that, and we did that.
I think communication is critical, and I think plans are critical, and I hate to see anything that's going to decrease planning, even though there's a budget difference or perception of that. But I think we all need to have a plan for what we plan to do with our schools at some phenomenal cost. We had, last year we were 700-some thousand more than the year before in resources. Well, less than $1 million we made more in the city. So we're not like, you know, this money's not just coming in.
So Mayor, here's the deal. If we are gonna work as one city, right, and we have this one meeting, and if the city needs money, the economy is booming, right? I believe if our kids are at sea, and Huntington and the whole development's at sea, and you know, maybe it's, I hate to use the word, but you know, maybe there's a way, you know, you increase the taxes, it goes directly to the schools. You know, just directly to the schools. I mean, Norfolk City.
How about y'all raise your own money?
Well, we would love to do that.
We can.
I'll leave that y'all. I'll take that
I'll drive that bus to Richmond.
I'll drive that. You go to Richmond, I'll drive that bus for you.
Don't try to steal my idea. That's all I'm saying. It's printed in the paper.
I haven't read the paper all week. Oh, sorry. Yes.
I wanted to try to get the, I've been Googling, trying to get the school division CIP request for Huntington. And the complete building renovation for Huntington Middle School in the 2011-2015 CIP, it was placed in fiscal year 2015 for $10 million. That was in, from the 2011 and 2015 CIP, it was put in fiscal year 2015 for $10 million. However, when we look at the Magruder Discovery STEM, that was put in your budget for fiscal year 2014 for $66 billion, really almost $68 million, $8 billion, so $6 million. So I'm saying it wasn't us that moved it. So I want to make sure we get that clear. So as you all are understanding the budget process, and then you put Huntington, complete renovation for Huntington for the 2012-2016 year. You budgeted, you had for fiscal year 15, you put $10 million in 2015, and then you put $10 million in 2016. But in the meantime, you all bumped up the discoveries. You all brought this discovery STEM to us in fiscal year 2014. So I want to be very clear that it was not City Council that moved your budget or did anything with your numbers. And I still have what we have here for Huntington for the renovation, and then what year you asked for Huntington for replacement. That was in 2015, 2019 fiscal year. And in fiscal year 2018, you all asked for $10 million. Okay, so I just want to be clear.
Dr. Cherry,
As we go, I'm just
trying to tell you today, I'm not sure my board or this board understood how the funds worked. Okay, I'm going to tell you that myself. I did not know, when you do a budget, in finance, you have a budget and you do a plan, I appropriate that next money, you know, for the next year. Even if you don't give it to us, it's sitting there in a pot. We always, now because people are on the city council and you guys do business that way, I'm gonna tell you myself, I'm certain that I did not know that, and I assure you that many of my board members did not know that. And also, I was not on a board, or many of us were not on a board at the time.
Well,
But I hear you.
All I'm saying is the 5-year plan is a request for funding if the funding is available. And every year is not always available. That's all.
So I just want to make sure we make that
We
clear.
got you, we got you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to say that I have met with both of my counterparts. We have enjoyed speaking to each other, and I hope we'll continue that.
We will, yes. Me too.
So, Mr. Mayor, what I'm hearing is our board prioritizes the 5-year plan. This is what I'm hearing. Our board prioritizes and they pass a budget that includes the prioritization out to 2024. Over the course of the years, priorities change and what can be funded, but that's discussion, and that's discussion with the council and the board, and things should change, but it should change through discussion.
And before you adopt your budget, it's a
Before-
much
Yeah,
better
we'll
time
work-
to
that's what
discuss.
we'll do.
Absolutely.
So we will, what I would advise the board to do is to continue to submit a 5-year budget.
Please.
That puts in our major renovations and our capital improvement needs. And then we continue to have that discussion about what we can fund in the current year prior to passing an approved school board budget. But at least we're all on the same page what we can accomplish. And I think that's a good way to move forward. I think that's just, it's all about solutions, and I think we're communicating what our needs are, but however, it's not getting, some of those things are not getting funded in the current year, and that's what we need to do some better work with the council. So we'll make that happen. That was my first recommendation, to try to carve out a day in the summer for us to meet for a joint meeting to talk capital improvement.
Thanks, sir.
Anyone else have any other? Anyone have anything else? Mr. Chairman.
Wait, I just for clarity, can we see if we can do this quarterly?
Yes.
We are, okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's our
Our next meeting will be on operations.
A good idea was doing one, we should go around the table and hear what she's done.
All right, Mr. Mayor, not going too far. This side of the room has asked that they get a 2-minute.
No, we don't need that.
We don't.
We don't need it? Okay, all right. All right, well then, there's none meeting.
Mr. Chairman, before we adjourn, what I would suggest, because we've discussed it, and it's been talked about since 2015. And we had the Mosley study done, and we as a board have had that knowledge since 2016. I think it's important, I emphasized it last year when we met last year, and I think it's important this year that we share the Mosley architecture study with council. I don't think it harms anything for them to have the knowledge of what the avalanche that I see, because that's what the Mosley study shared with me, was the avalanche of
No, that's not.
The avalanche that I see in terms of the buildings that are in critical need and are in threat of closure. And so I think them not having that information, I think puts us both at a disadvantage in conversation, so they understand that there was a very large price tag. So when we talk about, it's not just Huntington, the entire division, the building needs of the entire division are very large. We're talking in the hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of the kinds of critical needs and the lifespan of our buildings and where we're at. And as was mentioned, every dollar that's not spent in capital has a hit in the operation and maintenance budget, and then that comes to impacting our ability to do other things that we want to do, like pay raises for our staff in the springtime. So I think that that's important to share that. And as well, I just keep emphasizing again, the learning colleges, I see that as an immediate threat. I don't know, I may be, in a minority viewpoint, but I see that as an immediate threat. Plywood is not bulletproof. It's as simple as that. So, and so we need to address that as soon and as quickly as possible.
Okay, well, that being said, I think, again, I just want to thank the city. I want to thank the city council and mayor for coming out, and the city staff for being here today. I think we all came with our ears open. I think we have I think we're patching or getting equipment up that we're patching holes. I'm telling you today, I got a lesson learned. That was a huge, now I actually understand. So now when we submit the budget, I can go, my team and my board could actually go forward on this. We look forward to our next meeting, probably in 3 months.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I think we're meeting, December 10th, on operations, capital, on estimate needs.
Yes.
I think our next meeting should probably focus on the estimate of needs for the school division in terms of operational budget. So we'll find a suitable time to do a presentation for you then. It could be January timeframe, early January, or mid-January. But I'll get with the city manager and we'll work out a time frame for that. But we want you to see our estimate of needs prior to submitting a proposed budget to the okay? Okay. So I think we're on the same page.
I just wanted to comment on Mr. Brown. What I would like to make sure, what I'm hearing, I just want to make sure that we're all clear when we leave here, that the cottages, that's a big concern, but your plan is to evaluate it as a board, and no one's going out here to make that as an issue that will come before us Help me.
Right,
I just want to make
currently,
sure that as from you all are saying
We're saying-
that you're going to evaluate it, you all are going to look at it, you're going to be
ma'am.
working with the administrators, the schools to see how we can move those kids out of the cottages. But that is not an issue that's going to come up before city council, that y'all need to do this today because you all are going to be working on it.
Right.
Am I to hear that
And
correctly?
we're saying we're
Okay.
gonna make sure our campuses are safe and we'll ensure that we have ideal
Thank you.
conditions for
I
our
just
children.
want to make sure we're clear when we
just would
leave
like
out
to
here
Make
today.
sure we're phasing out as many as possible, and we'll do that in the appropriate manner.
Okay. I
Yes,
just want
ma'am.
to make sure when we leave out here clear today, because I don't want someone out here going out here and then advocating for something that we as a group together have made a decision, have together collectively have said, that's something you all are going to work on and get back and have that conversation.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear.
Okay, that being said.
I ain't mad with that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about your board now.
Our school board meeting